What's going on, everybody? We have another week of PGA golf. I didn't do a show last week. I guess the cheats, you didn't end up doing one either, did you?
I did not do a show last week. I put a couple of plays out there for the Euro stuff and did okay, actually.
Nice. I mean, hey, that's awesome. I actually didn't, I sort of took a little break from golf and ready to get back into it. So if you pull up your screen, we can do our tiers thing and try and figure out who we want to play and where. And before we do that, do you think there's anything you have like a general outlook on this slate?
I just so love this slate. I have a couple of guys that I have to like figure out a way to play more lineups because I'm just so locked into a couple of guys. I'm just hoping that like some of these guys actually, I'm looking at ownerships and I need to do another ownership run tomorrow. I just hope that some of them become like too chalky so they don't play them because I am so into like just a couple of ideas here.
Okay.
I have to think that a lot of people are going to be doing the same thing, but we'll take a look at it. Yeah, the first thing you look at, right? This is like one of those swing tournaments or whatever. So you don't get, like the full Monty, right? You don't get like all the top players. So when you get, something like this where you have Rahm in a, with basically no competition at the top, it's they look good for DraftKings for trying. You know what I mean? They put him at 12,100, but that's going to just mean his ownership is like only 50% as opposed to 80. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
And I don't know what I'm going to do about that. My initial thoughts is that he's just going to have to be played, and I'm just going to get so concentrated with some of these other guys that I'm playing that I just kind of can get it done that way. But that's my initial take. But you want to do it by tiers? Let's do it by tiers. Let's do
Yeah. Why don't you start off with who you like in the 10K plus range?
Yeah. So the way I'm building, I'm not going to have this. I'm probably not going to have a share of anybody except for Rahm over 10K. Now again, I guess if you were, that's what I'm looking for. If you were going to do something different, I don't know, man. I really can't see. I really can't see fading Rahm, and if I can't fade Rahm, I don't think I can get away with playing two of those guys at that tier. At least in your first glance, I mean, what do you like there?
So I personally think that I'm going to have a hard time fading Rahm, even though I can definitely see an argument for it. It's kind of hard for me to ignore it here, though.
It's golf, like that's the only argument.
Yeah, really. I mean, I don't really see anybody as close. I think maybe getting a low-owned Hideki. I think it'll be lower than probably what he's currently being projected at. And I think that Zalatoris, who is going to be owned, are than my two other plays in this range, but no, not touching anybody else. I do like those three, but I really like Rahm and unfortunately. And then I think Hideki just at low ownership is always interesting to me. So I'm going to take some shots there.
Yeah. Okay.
How about the 9K range for you?
So there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys there. And, in and of themselves, I mean, I do like a couple of them. Like I do happen to like Munoz. And I do happen to like Varner, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to play them. If you play a lineup without Rahm, that's what I would do. I would play both, maybe Varner and Munoz. That's kind of what I would do. But I'm just kind of going elsewhere. I'm going below 9Ks in most all my lineups. So I'm not probably going to get to those guys.
Interesting. It sounds like if you're going to end up accidentally probably having some extra money to spend, and you're probably going to end up getting Rahm. It sounds like if you like the 8K guys a lot. But I do think that so I would say that I agree about Munoz. He would be the one who I have the most interest in. And at low ownership, I don't mind Tringale, even though it seems like a lot to pay for him and all that. It's a different kind of tournament. We just don't have all the top guys. But then Siwoo Kim would be my third favorite in this range. I don't mind the Varner. I think he's going to be really chalky.
Yeah.
But I think Kim and Tringale as lower owned options are interesting to me. All right, let's talk about your range, the 8K range. There's
what makes you think that the 8K range is my range?
How can you're gonna have, well then now you're gonna make yourself play Rahm at least, because
that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna make myself play Rahm.
Okay, there you go. So I guess maybe it's not your range.
But this is what I like in the 8K range.
Yeah.
I do like a couple of guys I want to mention. First of all, my second favorite play. Well, if you consider Ron my favorite play, second favorite play on the whole slate for me is Taylor Gooch at 8K. Yeah, so he's going to be in if not all my lineups, he's going to be pretty damn close to all of them. So that's one thing. But a couple of other guys. So Emiliano Grillo. I mean, he's very high variance, but when he gets it going, I mean, he's a guy that you kind of want. And from what I've been reading, I mean, you really want to be a good ball striker here, and he can do really well. So I do like him. Charlie Hoffman is someone who always just pops in my model, and everybody else, I just don't like playing him. So when you guys will look at my sheets or whatever it is on TrueDFS.com, and you'll see that I have Hoffman rated really high, because I think all the strokes gained metrics and all the models out there just kind of rate him high. I just can't bring myself to quite overweight him. Really interesting idea is to play Homa. I don't mind him. And here's kind of a weird one. So what's his name? Mito Pereira is 8K, all right? And he is I think that he is going to project better than I thought he was going to project better for me. And I thought he was going to be really popular, because when he came out and did whatever, I mean, he was killing it. So I'm expecting him to get more ownership. I had kind of a weird kind of pivot off of that, which I just want to share. This other guy, Jaeger, he was playing the same tournaments pretty much that Pereira was playing. And while Pereira was winning them, like Jaeger was getting second. You know what I mean? Like Jaeger is a kind of a cool, if you want to play somebody that is just kind of weird, you could play him. And aside from that, I do like Maverick McNeely a little bit. So I do have some interest in the 8K. My favorite range is probably under this, but Taylor Gooch is my favorite play, probably on the slate. And then the guys I mentioned, McNeely, Grillo, and then if you want to play some Homa just for fun, you could do that.
Yeah, I like the Homa idea. I have him. I actually do like Hoffman a bit. But again, you're going to have a pretty high ownership there. I love what you just said about the Jaeger over Pereira kind of a thing. I think that's a really, really good, just pivot him over instead, because he's going to be, 1/3 the ownership probably. I also don't mind Mito, but I totally can get behind that. And if you're telling me you like Taylor Gooch this much, I had him on my list. I didn't have him as high as you do, but I think that I'm going to probably end up with a good portion of that. And he does actually project really, really well, as does Hoffman. But I can definitely get behind the Taylor Gooch call. So we're on a similar page there. I just think I'm a little probably heavier on Homa. I love Grillo is my number one guy in this range. So I'm glad you said him. I already had him circled, and he was already a premier play, but partly I feel like I'm doing it because I feel like he owes me money. He keeps costing me I'm always 5 of 6 with him being my 6th guy out for some reason, it feels like. But yeah, I think all those guys are super interesting. I'm just going to ask you about one guy. I don't particularly have interest in Phil, but when we're talking about a weak field and Phil playing and he's 8,100, is there maybe worth taking a shot on him, or is it? I mean, no ownership.
No, for me, I would almost. I think I followed your advice on when I played him the one time.
Play him in the best.
Kind of like the opposite. Like I'd almost rather play him in like a big tournament,
Yeah.
where he really gets up for it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if I'd play him here.
I got you. Okay, well that makes sense. All right, take us into your range.
Yeah, so my top 10 ranked guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are in the 7K range. One is Lanto Griffin. Another is Doug Gim. And then we are going back to the general. Patton Kazire at 7,500. He's going to be plowed in there. And then one guy, for those who've been following, I played him a couple of times with limited success, but in this slate, he's showing up as okay, is Charles Howell III. And then another guy who I played a couple of weeks ago who did pretty well was Aaron Rye at 7,400. So all those guys look pretty good. Another guy who's going to show up to be okay play, I'm not playing him, would be Pat Perez. But those are the guys I like. Luke List would be the next guy on my list, but for me, it would be Lanto, Gim, the General, Aaron Rye, and Charles Howell III.
I like it. I'm very high on, obviously, Kazire. You guys know me. If you've watched any of our stuff here, I did have Kazire as my preferred play down in this range. One guy who I like, the only guy who you didn't mention, I like pretty much everybody you mentioned.
Patrick Rogers?
No, actually, I'm okay with Rogers, but I actually think that the guy I was going to go with is I like a little bit of Harry Higgs this week.
Okay.
I feel like it's a decent tournament for him. So Higgs is the only guy who I could add to from what you had. I really don't have anybody else who stands out in a major way to me in that range that you didn't mention already.
Yeah, no, you got to play Patrick Rogers.
Okay, then I'll throw Patrick Rogers.
You have to. I mean, like, you know what I mean? He owes us.
That's true. But what about the one other guy who I was considering? I actually forgot to mention is Adam Hadwin. And maybe you like too many guys in this range, but I just didn't know. I was just curious if you had any specific.
He's next. He's right between List and Rogers for me. So yeah, sure, why not?
Okay, sounds good to me.
And there's LaBoida. I mean, like, there's a lot of guys. You know.
Where is LaBoida? I'm just checking his ownership projection.
Nothing for me. I mean, I only have like 5%.
It's like the guy who was always the most owned player in history.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's a good play. I like the LaBoida idea. Okay. All right. Let's go down to the 6 under 7, which I'm guessing you're not going to need to do much of. But is there
probably not? I got 3 dumpsters. I mean, if you want, and nothing's particular. No one's gonna. None of these guys are gonna win the tournament. But Kyle Stanley, Michael Thompson, and Mark Hubbard.
So yeah, I have Thompson as my premier guy down here by far. I actually like him a lot.
Okay.
And the other guy I have down in this range is James Hahn, who.
Oh wow! I forgot about him.
Hahn and then even a little bit of Bo Hogg. So those are the other guys down in under 7K that are interesting to me. I couldn't find any of the, the plays way down that, I saw some things about Whaley and Kevin Tway, and I just didn't find the reason or the energy to want to play them. I understand the Hubbard idea too. I just don't like feel great about it. And I really just couldn't get to a bunch of these guys down here where usually I love to be, find some off the board plays, but couldn't get to anything that was really exciting to me down in the 6K range outside.
This is the time. This is one of those tournaments, man, where some guys that we used to play, like John Huh or Chase Seaford, you never know. Like Chase Seaford's like the Stone Min pretty much. He's like 6,100.
Yeah, probably worth taking some shots there because of the nature of the tournament. I guess that's a good point. And I think if you're multi-entering a lot of tournaments this week, you could try to spread it out a little bit because of and take some of these weird shots, because we've seen it over and over again where somebody sort of comes out of nowhere, like a Kramer Hickok, which, by the way, Kramer Hickok, another one, comes out and ends up, being on all the winning lineups at 1% ownership. I think it's kind of interesting. So I'm going to add those guys to my list just of my initial look. All right, let's play the game. Yes. Who are you taking? I'm loading up our old video at the moment. So who are you taking, and give a quick sum up of why you're taking him to win, even though I think it's going to be a pretty easy one to sum up.
Yeah, I am taking John Rahm to win the tournament. He just projects that much better than everybody else, and that's because he's been playing much better than everybody else, and there's very little competition for him. I'm not particularly scared of Webb Simpson right now. I mean, he hasn't put on a good performance in a long time. I guess if he's going to lose, it would be to. I mean, you can make the case for Matsuyama, like you said, but I think Zalatoris, you know what I mean? Like Zalatoris, remember, he was doing really well, but you know what? Because I forget how it worked, because the way he got his card, he didn't qualify for some of these other things, so he didn't get into the playoffs. So we haven't seen him in a while, and he's having to sit there watch on TV where all these other guys have been kind of battling out for this stuff. And he's like, hey, what about me? You know what I mean? So I would not be surprised if he puts on a good performance, but I think that Rahm is just playing too well right now.
Well, I like that, and I like Zalatoris, but I will take the guy who beat him at the Masters. I will take Hideki as my sort of weird one. That's what I've got for that. How about so what are we looking for? Top 5?
So who's going to come in top 5 other than, how about this? Other than the top 10K guys, like
Okay.
who's going to come top 5?
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead. You go first.
Okay, you know, I'll throw in. I'm going to pick, just because I didn't mention maybe as hard as I should have, just because of the way the nature of the slate is. I think that Munoz is going to have a good tournament. I'm going to say Munoz.
I can get behind the Munoz for sure. I actually am going to go a step down a little lower and say Manuel Grillo.
I love it. I think it's great.
So
Now come up with another guy that just anybody in any range that we haven't mentioned yet that's going to be like top 10.
I'm gonna now wait for my last, save him for my last one for top 20. Yeah, no, I won't. I'm gonna say Kazire. I know what you're gonna say, so I won't take him from you because I know who you're gonna pick, but I will take Kazire as my guy.
You know, I'm gonna remind everybody about Gooch, and pick him. But I want to emphasize how good of a play Grillo is. Now, you just picked him to be like top 5, whatever. And I just want to take this opportunity to mention. I mean, like I'm not saying he could win the tournament, but he really could. You know what I mean? Like if Rahm has a bad day, if Rahm has a bad tournament, like Grillo could beat everybody else. You know?
Yep.
So I will give Gooch as my top 10. But I will emphasize how good of a play Grillo is. Yeah,
okay, excellent. Because I like Gooch as well.
How about anybody under this? Now we got to go under 8K to come top 20.
Under 8K come out. That's why I should have saved Kazire probably for that. I am going to take another guy you mentioned in. Well, yeah, okay. I'll save that one. I'll take Doug Gim.
I like that. Doug Gim, I'll just caution everybody. Doug Gim's kind of like the Will Zalatoris of the cheapos. I mean, people always play him.
Yeah.
So just watch for ownership with him. I will. I guess just to emphasize this a little bit, I will take a shot that this could be a Charles Howell week. So I'll go Charles Howell top 20. And how about under 7K to make the cut, but probably not do anything.
That's Michael Thompson for me.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, you know what? I'll throw what's his name a bone here. I'll throw John Ha a bone. Maybe he'll do something.
All right, we'll take it. All right, guys. Well, thanks. It's fun to. I don't want to say have golf back, but we've got an actual tournament this week, and it's a little different, and it's not a European event. And hope everybody does really well. Good luck to everybody.
Hey, if you don't have a sweat in the Millie Maker at 5:00 p.m., you better have a sweat in the freaking golf at 5 p.m.
There you go. Exactly. At least we'll have a double. It'd be fun to have a double sweat week. That would be
nice. You know what? I have a couple of this is like crazy nuggets out there. So one thing I will tell you, if you're losing in every freaking sport and whatever it is, and then you bust out your PGAs, whatever, but somehow Patton Kazire made the cut, but like nothing else to do, play Patton Kazire in round 4 showdown. Yep. If he's still in. He has
the old Sam Burns rule. Yeah.
Is that right? I didn't even know the Sam Burns part, but Patton and Rick was talking about this and a lot of the stuff that he's just so heavily weighted to those like round 4 performances. So do that. And here's another really crazy one. Max Homa, if somehow he can get paired, this is really strange, with Taylor Gooch in a showdown, you should play them both. Apparently, this is according to Homa. He like Taylor Gooch is Max Homa's like favorite golfer like at the PGA Tour. And whenever like he plays with Gooch, he says that he does like 5 strokes better. So if somehow, some way, Gooch and Homa both make the cut and are in a pairing together, I play them both together.
I love it. It sounds like an awesome little showdown bit for you.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, good luck to everyone out there. And we hope you all crush it this week. Again, check out truedfs.com and don't forget to like and subscribe, et cetera, et cetera. Good luck all.